And now it is time to review this week's movies. And there is a shirt-a-ton once again of them this week. So we're going to start with the return of everyone's favourite zombie-killing foursome in Zombieland Double Tap, a decade after the original shone a light on zombies, because no one had ever really made movies about zombies before. And then Zombieland came along, and since then, that was pretty much the only thing anyone's ever done about zombies. And now they're back again to sate our hunger. Ben, you're going to lead in this one. What do you think of Zombieland Double Tap?
It's okay. There you go. No, this is the return of the entire crew, basically. So it's kind of mad that it's 10 years since the first Zombieland film came out. That's slightly terrifying. More terrifying than anything that happens in Zombieland, because they're pretty sort of chill zombie films as they go. But yeah, great that 10 years on, the entire team is back. So you've got Woody Harrelson as Tallahassee, you've got Emma Stone as Wichita, Jesse Eisenberg leading as Columbus, and Abigail Breslin as Little Rock. And this catches up with them 10 years on, and it seems like, to be honest, not much has happened. They've made their way to the White House, where they've been living in kind of relative safety. But then the group starts to fracture now that Little Rock is kind of grown up, and she's never had that experience, especially as a sort of teenager or young woman, of being in the outside world. She's desperate to leave. The group starts to fracture, and that's a very, very loose plot just to hang a load of fun zombie stuff on.
And as they start, before we get to Columbus, we get the Columbia logo being besieged by what I think are the new breed of zombies, the fast-moving T-800s that you speak of. She has to use her torch to beat them back.
That was a good laugh. I always like it when they play with logos, and studios are so loath to do that. Every time they do that, I hear on the commentary how the director had to fight them because they want branding. They want it to be the same every time so that you have the same music, the same experience, and you know what it is.
It does feel like maybe because this is the Columbia logo under Sony, like I feel like Men in Black, they did this. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they used the older version. Like it feels like they're more willing to play with this logo.
Yeah, could be. But we didn't get that voiceover, and we see the same setup, essentially, as we did in the first movie. Normally, again, I'm already on the record of thinking retelling your best jokes isn't the best idea to get people to laugh, but I do think if it's been 10 years to set the mood, we didn't even think of this as a franchise, it's probably helpful to hit the same beats in the opening and have Jesse Eisenberg be the narrator, have him, instead of running down a list of rules, running down a list of different permutations of zombie and getting some Metallica on.
If it's going to be a sequel and feel cohesive, you had to have Eisenberg narrate. That was one of the hallmarks of the last film, and him with his lists. I hear, man, the Homer, right? Especially the fact that they used the Simpsons donut with the sprinkles as the O in Homer.
I guess the storytelling.
Yeah,
you know?
no, absolutely. Okay, so also out this week, in a week which seems to be dogged by...
Colons.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Ben. Zombieland Double Tap,
Very
which,
colonic week.
like Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, I think is the sequel that we weren't really waiting for. I mean, the first film was fine. You saw the first Zombieland probably. Mm-hmm. So, a while ago, and it's been in production or development hell for quite some time. I thought the first one was notable largely for that kind of very memorable Bill Murray role in it. This picks up the survivors of the first film, move into the White House, generally living the dysfunctional family life. So Jesse Eisenberg is the nerdy one who makes lists. Woody Harrelson is the gung-ho, rootin' tootin' cowboy. Emma Stone is the smart, reliable one. Abigail Breslin is the disgruntled teenager who wants out. So they have this kind of dysfunctional family dynamic, and then the plot pootles around for a little while until at one point Abigail Breslin goes off, and they have to go and find her because she's run off with a hippie, so that will put them on the road again together. And at one point in the narrative, two characters turn up, played by Luke Wilson and Thomas Middleditch, who appear to be mirror images of Eisenberg and Harrelson.
What the hell was that? They must have followed you.
Oh, God, those are T-800s. Or at the very least, T-700s.
There actually was no T-700.
Yeah, T-800's the first model.
This is great, having two of you.
Okay, time to nut up or shut up. That thing's very 2009. Okay, we got this. Ho! You don't send a boy to do a man's job. We brought him here. We'll take care of it. Yeah, you know what? Have at him.
Hasta la vista, baby. Terminator 2. Remember?
Woo! Ready, buddy?
He's so cool.
Woo! Suck these bullets! Get you some! Anybody else find those two uniquely annoying?
The weird thing about the film is this. When it was on, it was just, pootling around and sort of largely innocuously. There were individual sort of funny little sequences, and there were occasional. I mean, you understand comedy. The thing about comedy is comedy has to have some form of narrative to it. It has to. It's not just that bit's funny and that bit's funny and then that bit's funny.
Series
therefore, that makes
set
it
pieces.
Exactly. It makes a movie. And in the case of this, there's a bit when they go to Graceland, because they're kind of there's an Elvis jag, and there's a joke about. There's a whole set piece about Elvis and blue suede shoes. And then there's another bit which is a whole set of jokes about hippies. And then there's another bit which is the joke about the two people who are sort of mirror image versions of them. And each individually, you think, oh, it's all right. That bit's kind of okay. But it does feel like after all this time and after all this kind of, the fact that in between doing this, they wrote Deadpool and another writer came in, and it's very kind of self-referential in that knowing cinematic way. It's all fine. I mean, the screening I was in, people kind of laughed and chuckled enough, and I'm sure that the minute they were out, it went completely out of their heads. Now, okay, there's no reason why every movie should have to stick around, but you and I were just talking about Splash, and I can quote you the whole of Splash pretty much now after all these years. The other thing is, there is one very, very good gag in the film that would have benefited enormously from not having been played up in any of the publicity. And I'm not going to say what it is, but I imagine everybody already knows what it is.